insights into the ever-shifting high-frequency currents now bathing the planet and affecting us all. Your source of vital information to navigate through rapidly changing times. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Ever-evolving truth. As covered in Stairway to Heaven, Vignette number 1, entitled Turning Up the Fire, our sun cyclically passes through a high-frequency portion of the galaxy. Dr. Dmitriev, a Russian scientist, has observed an increase in the plasma on the leading edge of the sun's magnetic field. He believes this is the result of the sun's magnetic field moving into an area of the galaxy where the energy is more highly charged. The increase in charge is causing excitation of the plasma on the leading edge of the sun's heliosphere, instigating more plasma to form and resulting in more luminosity or brightness. The energy is also flowing into the sun, causing it to emit increased frequency along its ecliptic or equilateral plane and saturating interplanetary space. Dmitriev has observed that solar emissions are traveling more quickly, charging up the energy or frequency of the planets as their electromagnetic or toroidal fields interact with that of the sun. One of the many things this increase of light impacts on Earth is the concept of truth. While historically we thought something either to be true or false, we're now finding that there is no ultimate truth. Rather, based upon the amount of light present by which to see or perceive, truth either evolves or devolves. So what does this look like for the individual? Many people I work with have reported revisiting their experiences only to realize that at the time they were operating with only limited facets of the truth. Some have found they embraced a total misconception based on past experience rather than the facts in the present. Occasionally, we all have these experiences. They're a natural part of the maturation process whereby we gain enough substance over time to view things in a different way. This is why indigenous people so revered their elders. They understood that with more experience comes greater range of perception, and with it, wisdom. What's so different now is the speed and the number of the occurrences and the profound effect they're having on our concept of reality. Personally, I've recently experienced many occasions when I've totally misinterpreted what another person said or facts with which I'm presented. The facts may be accurate, but through giant leaps of illogic, I've conjured erroneous conclusions that seemed like total truth at the time. Now, I'm not making more mistakes as of late, but rather I'm more able to see a greater expansion of truth. This is the nature of the light we are now operating in. These are the days the truth can't hide. Or can it? There are so many factors affecting our personal concept of truth. Among these are experience, cultural base, belief systems, trauma, guilt, shame, fear, and ego, to name a few. Let's look at personal experience. We tend to interpret information based on our experience. For instance, natives having lived their entire lives in a jungle with very limited range of view will tend to perceive objects viewed from a great distance as smaller rather than further away. We tend to build our reality and therefore our truth around the mores and norms of the culture. This causes many cultural clashes. An example, the burqa. In Arab culture, veiling of a woman's face is seen as modesty, much like the covering of breasts is to Western culture. While many in the Western culture view the burqa with great suspicion, seeing it as a form of hiding or sexual discrimination. Belief systems, such as religions, will color or limit our ability to see more expansive truth. To see other points of view without trying to convert them to our own is very challenging. We tend to be more comfortable when we surround ourselves with those who agree with our reality. When we restrict our associations to those in agreement with our premise, it greatly narrows our experience and the ability to evolve our concept of truth into a more inclusive one. Trauma is a huge factor in our ability to evolve our concept of truth. We're designed to avoid things that have not gone well for us in order to survive. However, much of our trauma may have happened when we were small children with limited understanding and fewer resources. Even when we experience trauma as an adult, we're not at our best under stress. We often inaccurately interpret the cause of the trauma and create defense mechanisms causing us to avoid the wrong thing, again limiting our operating range. If not revisited and reevaluated, we soon find ourselves in a narrow bandwidth existing of knee-jerk reactions and avoidance rather than an ever-widening range of experience. As an example of this, I once had a friend tell me, "Gwilda, I like you, I really do, but your red hair is a real turn-off. It makes me not trust you." In discussing it, we uncovered that she had been relentlessly bullied by a neighbor boy with red hair. Once understanding that it was the bullying, not the hair color, that was the cause of her mistrust, she was able to relax, and we developed a lasting friendship, granting her a different experience of people with red hair. Then we come to guilt. Guilt is a nasty business. Some believe that without guilt to control us, our entire society would run amok. I argue that guilt and avoidance of the same is behind many of the horrific crimes we see today. Being blamed or found guilty feels so awful, most of us will go to great ends to avoid it. One tried and true avoidance technique is to find someone else to dump our guilt on and then condemn them for having it. This was a major factor in Hitler's approach and the resulting Holocaust. The dumping of guilt not only prevents the dumper from being accountable for their own actions and correcting them, but it also rewrites reality in order to cast blame elsewhere. It can be so pervasive that the dumper totally buys their own press and feels perfectly justified in victimizing their target. Shame is another low-frequency energy, much like guilt, that really has no place in the healthy individual. People that have been shamed tend to develop low self-esteem. A great deal of energy is required to compensate. The reality these individuals experience is they're not good enough. This creates the need to build a false, grandiose persona rather than standing in the truth of who they are. When coming from a platform of falsehood, there's no hope of evolving our truth and with it, our reality. Fear is an energy that does belong with us as human beings. Without fear, we'd not recognize when we're in danger and take steps to protect ourselves. The problem is unprocessed fear. Unless we can examine feelings of fear and discern if they're coming from clear and present sources or from past unprocessed trauma, we'll interpret our reality based on fear and avoidance rather than the facts present in the moment. Ego is a much overused concept. For clarity, we'll define ego as who we think we are, but we're not. False identity, if you will. Our society demands we have a shtick. Something that defines us, like our profession, religion, gender, and so on. While this can be useful, it's also a major trap. The rising ambient frequency and evolving concepts of truth give us the rare opportunity to evolve as human beings. If we're identified with our shtick, we're not free to evolve the truth of ourselves. We remain stuck in the same old identities and resulting shallow existence, never embracing our true potential. Processing through the aforementioned factors is the key to expanding our concept of truth as well as our capacity to perceive it. Unfortunately, as we all know, process can be very unpleasant. It is not for the faint of heart. Truth is never imposed on us. The increasing frequencies or light at this time grants us an opportunity to embrace evolving truths and become much more than we are. Do bear in mind, holding on to outdated concepts of the truth is not being energetically supported at this time. Should we choose to do so, we'll experience increasing pressure and need to expend more energy not seeing than that required to embrace increased vision. As we move through this time of expanding truth, it's always advisable to assume we each hold but a portion of it. It's through combining truths rather than fighting over them that yet greater truths can be known. To quote a master, "Know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." Thank you for joining me, Gwilda Wiyaka, on the Stairway to Heaven, where we provide updates on the energetic currents facilitating our evolution to conscious, powerful co-creators. Until next time, may you be blessed on your sacred path to wholeness. We are here. The time is now.